something to say about that. But so anyway, my dear brother, in order to see the sky, you need light in the first place. And he thinks I'm a brother, but whatever. My tweets are not only about seeing it with the naked eye; it is about seeing per se. But then he said, who has to prove it? The one who interprets it literally, or the one who interprets it metaphorically? Well, you have to prove it literally if you're saying it's a literal interpretation, because that's your claim. So the one who makes the claim has to prove it. Whereas me, I'm just arguing that I think your claim is not 100% true. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so you have to prove that it's 100% true since you made the claim. So that's just ridiculous. I don't know if I said anything. And then he's telling me you have to know what transcendental means. And you have to understand that unseen things are not the same as seen things. As if I don't understand that. Well, I believe they literally exist, but where's proof we can see all 7, even with technology? That science has already discovered the 7 layers is your view? I don't like to speculate on whether scientists really can ever have certainty. Later, they can revise any research claim they made before, right? So that's why I brought up that the atmosphere has 7 layers, and it has five main layers. So lots of non-Muslims just argue that, well, Muslims or the Quran and Hadiths mention the number 7. There are 7 heavens, there are 7 worlds, or 7 earths. There are 8 doors to hell or heaven, I think, and 7 doors to hell. So number 7 pops up a lot, and they could just argue, well, it's just a coincidence that 7, heavens are a thing, right? So if we say the atmosphere is the 7 heavens, which I brought up as a kind of counter argument that, well, there are 7 layers in the atmosphere, so maybe that is the 7 heavens. And he said nobody ever brought that up. Well, I'm bringing it up. It's just a counter argument. Maybe the 7 heavens are the atmosphere. And so your argument that, although he did mention, so it can't be because the moon is in the midst of the 7 heavens, right? And I guess our atmosphere is not going that far, right? So Asadullah Ali said the first heaven is where you have the moon, I think. I'm not sure. I have to go back again. So I said tara, the word tara or yara or, look, is not always literally. I have no such scientific burden of proof because it's a question of the Arabic only. Both are opinions, okay? They're just opinions. I noticed that he doesn't like any of my comments. Did he miss these ones? He only likes my comments if I agree with him. This one is over a century old. I'm not sure what that is about. This one's over a century old. What is that? The great mathematician is struggling with probability and its predictive value according to his own now deleted tweet. If someone rolled a dice 6 times, they'll get a 6 exactly once. No more than often than random noise through smiling face with open mouth and tightly closed eyes, like rolling a 6 on a dice, happens exactly 1/6 of the time. Okay, so someone said no prayers get answered, and he says they do get answered. Well, then that means there is a God if your prayers get answered. Because somebody answering you means they have to pick up. If nobody is home, they can't pick up your call. And the same with prayers. If nobody was there, then who would answer your prayer? So this guy doesn't even understand, first of all, English, never mind mathematics. Okay, so Talha Arshad says, what if I prayed that I get 2 6s before casting the dice and it actually happened? Would he then believe in God and prayer? If not, then by what standard is he asking God to do something after which he still won't believe in him? The audacity of these ignorant fools. Funny how disbelievers haven't grown intellectually over time. They used to ask for the impossible according to their standard, and Allah would repeatedly tell his messenger that even if he showed them the impossible, they still wouldn't believe. Yeah, that's true. So even with my question or my debate with the other brother, Noah's people, whether they were shown a sign or the 7 heavens or anything, or whether they could see that or not, they were told to ponder on ayat of Allah, okay, signs, whether in the heavens or in themselves. So do we literally see signs in ourselves? Do we have to look at our blood to see the sign, about DNA or any kind of, like your fingerprints, for example. Now we know that your fingerprints are never identical to other people, right? So that's kind of a sign, because it's mentioned in, I think it's in the Quran, that God would even recreate your fingertips. So that's kind of a sign that your fingertips are something very special. It's mentioned in the Quran, and then it would be a sign. But people in, for example, Noah's time didn't know that everyone's fingertip is special, right? So that would be a sign if God told them, if Noah told his people, God says that your fingertips are unique. They had no way of really proving that, right? Because they couldn't, literally, they didn't have the technology to check everybody's fingertips and say, oh, look, it really is true. You do have similar whorl patterns and stuff, different patterns on your fingertips, but your fingerprints are still unique, right? He said erratum for what I mean. I have no idea what erratum means. Addendum, with our galaxy, I mean, of course, our habitat, the Milky Way. Our galaxies are habitat. Okay, if you want to put it that way. I don't mean to be rude to this brother, but some of his arguments, he's just like, okay, of course God knows best, right? We know that. Okay, so here, the solar system is integrated in the third heaven. How do you know that? Does it say that anywhere in Quran or Hadiths? You can't just make claims that you have no proof for. For example, the galaxy is embedded into the local group, etc. Okay, so etc. And at the end, we have the whole universe. Okay, so is there 7 heavens here, 7 layers? It's interesting. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is the 8 things he's saying? Okay, so this looks more interesting. I don't know. So I can't see good. I need my glasses. So you have, what is this? Does it say Earth or something else? Let me see. I can't see this good. What is this? 1, 2. Okay, so I'm trying to understand. So is this the second one? Is that the solar system he's saying? I'm not sure. Okay, I can share this, no problem. I'm not sure what. Okay, just go back. Okay, he says, so the first heaven is the atmosphere because of Sama ad-Dunya. The thing is, I don't think in the ancient times people would have been able to see all these. They would have needed a telescope. So his argument, which I debunked and which he himself contradicts here, is that Noah's people would have to see all these different stars and everything, which isn't true because, first of all, the layers are on top of each other. I said, so the first heaven is the atmosphere because As-Sama Ad-Dunya is associated with how devils are expelled with meteors. The first heaven is integrated in the second heaven. This could be, for instance, the solar system. Okay, so if everything is integrated, how do you even know that they're like layers, Besides, you still need to have something in Quran or in Hadiths that definitely kind of supports your theory. Otherwise, it's just a theory. It's not like something all Muslims have to believe, okay? That is the real point. We don't all have to agree on this question anyway. So it's not like we have to fight about this. We just have a difference of opinion that should not make us two enemies. If you want to hear my opinion on this, for me, each heaven corresponds to a gravitational system. Okay, so why didn't he just say that at the beginning? Have a good Joma. So I guess we're done. I think he had a good argument there with the that picture. I think that's pretty cool. Oh, but anyway, sorry. Okay, so again, how can someone consider something? So the thing is, the word tara means consider. Okay. Like Surat Fil, Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil. So we literally can't see that event happening. It says consider the people of the elephant, or the yeah. So when those people with Abraha, they tried to attack the Kaaba and they were destroyed. We cannot see that event with our own eyes, right? That happened in the past. So it just means consider it. And also, I still argue with the 7 heavens. We do not literally see them all, unless you're using technology today. So it says, return your vision to the sky. It is the sky you're talking about. So the sky that is right above us, basically. And that's my opinion. And do you see any fault? I think the verse actually talks about, do you see any fault in Allah's creation? Okay, oh God, my spelling. Okay, and the verse talks about, oh crap, talks about seeing no flaws in God's creation, not only the sky or heaven or heavens. Just put heavens, because I'm not sure about the verse if it was heaven or heavens. There is another verse where it mentions only as-sama and as-sama ad-dunya. As-sama. Not all heavens, right? Anything that is oops, okay. Okay, so I believe the verse talks about seeing no flaws in God's creation, not only the sky or heavens. Okay, so the creation in general. As-sama ad-dunya is one heaven. Sometimes one heaven is mentioned, not all the seven heavens, anything that is a sign that is without flaws. Okay, so I'll just put that because I want to finish this debate. This is just for my video. We can see one heaven at least, but are you sure we can see all of them? I don't believe that. If you're convinced from what you've read, then I'm not here to force my understanding on you. Right? We should not fight each other. I mean, in the end, one of the day, we are brothers, right? We have difference of opinion, right? So the first heaven is the atmosphere, because as-sama dunya is associated with how devils are. Well, I'm not even sure about that. I mean, I wasn't getting into specifics. I didn't go look up all the hadiths. So whether it's whether the first heaven is contains all the stars